Okay, so let's jump right into it. We're going to get a new document and we're going to change where it says inches to pixels, and I'm going to put 2350 pixels width and 1000 height. It's your basic cinema aspect ratio. They can be a little wider, little more narrow, but this is a good general one to go. So here I'm starting out with a custom brush, and this brush is included in the set with the download. And I'm just using it as a texture to just kind of throw down that busy background there. It took a couple seconds to do. There was no planning. And now I'm just adding some kind of bigger shapes just to suggest structures. This is, environment design, so we want some kind of buildings, and in this case it's a very chaotic kind of structure or environment. Those are easier to do. Here I'm using another custom brush in throwing down more of a detailed stroke. Before I was just using the big round brush, and then now it's just using a custom brush which I had made. And if you saw my tutorial on making brushes, I explain in depth the process of making brushes like these, but these will be included. Again, I'm throwing down more texture ideas here, so the brushes really aren't used to paint or to render out forms or anything like that. They're just for texture and or structure ideas. You can see here I'm moving things around. I'm trying to find a good place for each of these separate pieces. So a big part of this process is throwing down a custom brush on a layer and moving it around and seeing where's a good fit for it. Here I'm using the lasso tool in finding shapes as well. So by using custom brushes and then just kind of winging it with your lasso tool and defining certain shapes, you can get a nice varied, say, landscape of different kinds of shapes. You can have these intricate custom brushes, and then you can have these very simple sharp shapes, or like this big one here, this big blocky shape. I want to be my dominant structure. Here you can see I've flipped it vertically now, so I'm getting a completely different kind of dynamic range in this environment. So that's something I do a lot. You're going to notice a lot. Sorry if it makes your heads go a little crazy, but it's something I encourage you guys to do as well. So here I'm breaking up the image into thirds. And you split your image into 3 groups, vertically and horizontally. At each place where those lines intersect is a potential focal point, meaning you want to put some kind of area of interest or some kind of payoff. It doesn't always have to be that way, but that's just a good rule of thumb. Let's say if you're just starting an environment, you're not sure where you want to put your main focal point, use the rule of thirds like I just showed. Break your image up into thirds and find a focal point. You can see I added some detail to the main structure and now to the foreground structure. Just basic cut lines and little highlights and things, just to give a little bit more variation, a little bit more interest to a potential focal point. Ultimately, you're going to want to put a lot more detail as you go along anyway. So here is a really quick perspective grid that I did with the line tool, and I'm just moving it around and looking for a good vanishing point. Again, this is going to help with the focal point. You can see these red arrows are kind of showing which direction things are pointing in. I have all these objects around the image and they're kind of pointing inward. So you want to be able to take your viewer into your image and literally show them the way, point the way in, but not do it so blatantly. Here I'm just customizing a brush that's going to allow me to paint very opaque. It's a great kind of Chinese ink brush look. And so I've created this new brush, and then now I'm using this. So this is something you want to do a lot if you get an urge to create a specific kind of brush. You'll know how to create that. I'm not saying you have to buy my previous download, but these are all meant to work with one another, which is why I priced them so low, so that hopefully you guys can end up getting all of them. So here, back to this, I'm painting a road in, again literally leading the eye in and then kind of curving around. You don't want